and one of them could be the little girl that I spent the night in her home during the revival in her church. She was just about 4 years old, probably. She's my district superintendent now. I believe I had some influence on her life. I know I had some influence on the other girl's life who said that she joined at 12 when I was holding a revival in her church, because her father joined at the same time. Her mother had been a long-time member of that church, but when I was sent to Highland Church, I was put on the district board of ministry, which meant that we recommended the candidates. And this little young girl, no longer a young girl, but an older person now, was turned down the year before I was put on the committee. Well, I made some speeches in favor of her. I didn't know at that time about her time of joining the church. That was new information I got later, but because she was just a little girl. But I went to bat for her. Some of the preachers on the committee said, she's not going to move out of Raleigh. She said she's not going to be willing to do that. Well, she didn't have to. We finally elect a pastor that year, and within about 4 years, she was my associate at Highland, and we worked together for 2 years, I believe. But there's so many things that happened that weren't accidents. They sound like accidents, unusual coincidences and so forth. But it's when you're in it, it makes you feel like God's working through me. This is not an accident. It wasn't it happened so that my life was bolstered with Alice Stewart. In other words, my wife added a lot to my ministry, and I had been preaching 4 years, no, 6 years. I'd been preaching 6 years before I ever met her. So my ministry afterwards was much better.
So what would be one of the messages that you would want your great-grandchildren to hear about how important having Christ in your life, how important that is? And what was your most important message from the pulpit, you think?
I have the faith that I was able to come through those illnesses with the help of God. And some new discoveries were being made during those years that enabled me to have a lung operation. There were only 2 places in the world that my doctor would recommend I go to have that surgery. One was in Italy, and the other one was in Boston at Massachusetts General Hospital, and that's where I went. Of course, I went where my Father took me, and my Heavenly Father took me there. I believe that, and then we worked with the life I had, and I believe that it was a ministry that touched many lives. And my prayers seem to support that belief that God was working through me to touch the lives of people, and I get letters sometimes telling me that. I have a letter at home. I run across it every once in a while, and I don't know whether to throw it away or not. I know the lady sings in our choir, but I can't think of her name. And she wrote me saying that she just wanted to thank me for my influence on her life, that she was a better person because of me, and she's afraid she's never made that very clear to me. And I appreciate it, and I think I've met just so many, many people like that. I accept that they're telling me what they believe and what is true. That my life influenced their lives, and that's what I consider ministry. If my life influences other lives to be like Christ, then that is really the big pay for being a minister. And it isn't necessary for children to follow their parents, because there are other ways to do the same thing. There are opportunities sometimes that lay people have that a preacher doesn't have. And when I hear John Maxwell III, your little boy, when I hear him pray at the table and say he thanks God for things that are really worth thanking God for. He is just 3, isn't he? Yeah. That's a great. Just makes you feel so good. You wish you could hear better. I wish I could hear what he's saying better. I'm gonna get next time. I'll get y'all to translate it for me. But they're real and genuine, and he's just happy to do it. That's the reward. And your life and Linda's life touches so many people. It did while I was preaching. Your example was important, and it was an encouragement to me, more than y'all realized. We didn't have to fight any battles on the battlefield of no opportunities and no real messages. You were getting the best I had. In other words, you were my congregation more than any other people, and I've been very, very proud of your lives, and you made some good choices about your churches.